Greetings, and thank you for joining the CMT Thought Leadership Video Repository session. Today we have Dr. Bob Castaneda talking with us about what is an HSA. Dr. Bob Castaneda is the Academic Program Director for the Accounting, Finance, and Management programs here in the College of Management and Technology. Dr. Bob Castaneda, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you to talk to us about what is an HSA plan.
Thank you very much. And HSA basically stands for Health Savings Accounts, and it started in the 1980s, and it really took off in the 1990s. Congress had provided tax incentives for this, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Basically, it's a way to reduce insurance costs and place the responsibility of incurring medical expenses on the part of the user. So as an individual who's receiving medical expenses, I can elect whether or not I want to pay for those. Monies can be used for, monies put away could be used for medical, pharmaceutical, dental, vision, for your long-term savings plan for medical uses. When you use it, it's not taxable as long as it's used for medical expenses. The mechanics vary by organizations, but in essence, you put money away annually and use it up as you incur medical expenses. The key is to try to put the maximum away, and we'll talk about that in a minute, as it's before tax. But at minimum, you want to make sure that you put away what you think you will incur for the upcoming year for your medical expenses prior to meeting the company's cap. And I'll talk about the company's cap when I get there. If you have a major event, such as an illness, let's say $10,000 or $20,000 of medical expenses you're going to incur, typically companies or the insurance planning companies, they do have a ceiling that will cover medical costs after that. So each company is a little bit different, but let's say that the medical cap is $10,000. So that would mean that I would use up my medical expense account first, up to $10,000 if I put away $10,000. And then the company's insurance cap would cover anything after that. So you can see it allows you to put money away and spend it as you want it, but you don't run the risk of incurring expenses that you can't really afford. Typically, the individuals, they have withholdings for 2020. Well, this was last year, but the minimum amount was $1,400, and the family amount to put money away in terms of minimum is $2,800. So if you have a family, the minimum you could put away is $2,800. The maximum that you could put away if you're an individual, it's $6,900, and for family, it's up to $13,800. In 2021, the maximum went up to $7,000 for individuals, and for families, it's $14,000. So that's what the amount of money people could put away, and that money basically is before tax. Very similar to a flex spending, but the nice thing about the HSA accounts is the money is yours. If you leave the company, you take it with you. The money rolls over to the following year, so you don't have to worry about that. Whereas in a flex spending, you use it or lose it. Let's see. Individuals over 55 or under 65 can also do a catch-up and put away an additional $1,000. And if you're under 65 and use the money for anything else other than medical expenses, there will be an IRS penalty tax on that. However, if you're over 65, there's no penalty, but it will be tax deductible. What are the pros open to healthcare savings plans? Again, they're an alternative to an insurance. The difference is with regular insurance plans, you pay a premium and you don't get the premium back. However, with HSA money, when you put that away, that is your premium, and you get that money. Again, you could use it to pay for your insurance, or you could take it with you if you leave your job. You could roll it over, you put it in an interest-bearing account that earns money with it. Individuals, I think, find this very useful. Like I said before, it's similar to a flex spending that you put away, but you never lose it. Monies saved in an HSA are generally saved before tax. So it accumulates exponentially over time. You take the HSA with you if you leave the job, as I had mentioned before. And if you're healthy, meaning you don't go to the doctor that often, then this is a great way. This is a great plan for you. If you're in excellent health. I know myself and a host of others, probably other than your flu shots or your COVID shots, that's about it. Visiting the doctor. I do go to the dentist, vision and everything else, and you can use the money on that also. You could use it for insurance premiums such as COBRA, but you have to be unemployed. So let's say that I left the company, I had $10,000 sitting in an HSA. I could use that money to pay for any COBRA insurance until I find another job, or any other kind of healthcare insurance that I needed to pay for. But again, you have to be unemployed. The account also earns interest. So the monies that you earn in the interest, you're not taxed on, and you can also use that to pay your medical expenses. But remember, if you remove the money other than medical expenses, you have to pay taxes on that. And the nice thing about the HSA is that once that you deposit it, it's yours. Nobody can take it away. The companies can't tell you what to do with your funds. Generally, they're put into a separate account similar to your 401k account, which is an outside organization. What are some of the cons with using an HSA? Well, if you have ongoing medical issues, maybe that might not be the plan for you. It still could be, but you have to take a look at how much annually do you spend on medical expenses, such as pharmacy or whatnot. The other thing is that the plan, HSA, cannot be combined with another insurance company. So if you're already covered by an insurance company, you can't use an HSA according to IRS rules. You need to keep the receipts for a minimum of 3 years in HSA accounts of the monies that you spent on. Just in case you're audited by the IRS, you could produce the receipts because you have to report that on your 401k. Excuse me, you have to report that on your 1040 tax return. The other con is that it can only be used to reimburse healthcare costs. You can't use it to pay your mortgage or anything else like that. The other one is you cannot contribute to an HSA and an FSA at the same time, the flexible savings account that most people utilize. You can't have both at the same time. You can have one or the other. And then if you're on Medicare, you cannot contribute to an HSA at all. So you're not allowed to do that. But you could see here, I think the benefits for the HSA for anybody is think of it as a savings plan that you can accumulate money in the future that later on you could use well into retirement as you move through time. I think if we take a look at individuals and the employee turnover in jobs, if they turn over 5 times in their lifetime or 10 times in their lifetime, they can accumulate a substantial amount of HSA funds just by investing it in that. I know I often think about all the premiums that I paid in the insurance costs that I had in the past. And, obviously you never get the premiums back, but with HSA, the monies that you put in there for savings pay for that. But let me see, are there any other questions?
So can anyone join an HSA?
Yes, as a matter of fact, even if you're, you have a job, you can only join an HSA if you don't have any other insurance coverage, or if your spouse has another insurance coverage for you, you're not allowed to contribute to an HSA. And it's only open to US citizens. There might be individuals here in the US that aren't US citizens and they're not eligible for that. Any other questions?
No, I think you have addressed the pros and cons and some of the benefits of belonging to the plan. So it sounds like you've given the audience a lot to consider before signing up for an HSA. Any final words on it?
Yeah, is, again, check with your company, check to see what kind of cap they have, insurance cap. So for instance, the insurance cap might be $10,000. So if I have any medical costs in a year over $10,000, the insurance that the company has, that cap will start to kick in. That's one thing you should make sure you can do. The other one too is take a look around to see where you can invest those funds at, because today, similar with a 401k, you can be earning interest on the funds. But of course, the monies cannot necessarily be locked into long-term type investments, mainly because in case you need to use the funds during the year, you'll need to remove them. The other one I think is most important too is write down or go back to the last year or two of what you spent for eye care, dental, pharmacy, and then also medical doctors and visits. Add that up and that'll give you an example of how much at minimum you should be putting away. But remember, the IRS guidelines is that the minimum, if you're an individual, you need to put away $1,400. And if you have a family, you need to put the minimum away of $2,800. But thank you very much. And I hope this was very useful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Castaneda. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.